So earlier we played for you all these different rallies that went on around the country this weekend. Everybody and their mama rallying for something. For something. All kind of marches happening, right? What a mess. Well, I remember there was a time when conservative media would report against these things, right? That was a time. And a lot of people thought of, and at one time it was, Fox News as a conservative media. A lot of conservative people, Republican, really trusted Fox News. Fox News used to be a strong network when it was headed by men. But they got rid of the white men. The strong, that is, I'm telling you, they got rid of the older, strong white men that was heading up Fox News and Bill O'Reilly and all those guys, and they replaced it with women. And it is softer now than cotton puff. It's not, and I hear from a lot of different conservatives of all races too. They're not really tuning into Fox News anymore. And so I don't, other than this show and a couple other, Tucker Carlson and others fighting back, I don't know many conservatives media now that are fighting back. They're not really fighting back. Fox News ran a segment this past weekend in support of a family and the transition of their daughter into a male. Interesting thing about that statement, they're really not you're not transitioning. If you were born a male, you're still a male. No matter how many women body parts you add and take away your male part, inwardly and outwardly, you're still a male. Likewise, for a girl who cut off her body part and put on male parts, you're still a female. It's like, it's not gun violence, it's people violence. It's people violence. It's people violence, not gun violence. They changed the language. And the Christians go along with the new language rather than staying with the real language. So Fox News ran this segment. Fox News ran a segment this weekend in support of a family. And you saw all the pride marches and everything else we played earlier. Well, they ran this segment on a family and the transitioning of their daughter into a male. The segment is part of Fox America Together LGBTQ plus Pride Month series. So here's Fox raising Ryland, following a transgender teen journey. Watch this.
Pride Month continues as we highlight the story of Ryland Whittington, whose journey of transitioning at age 5 has been seen by 7 million people in a family YouTube video.
If you saw me walking down the street, you wouldn't think anything different.
14-year-old Ryland Whittington is a typical Southern California teenager. And the Whittingtons, along with mom Hillary, dad Jeff, and sister Brinley, are a typical family. The only difference, though, in Ryland's eyes, is what this family can mean to the tens of thousands of kids under 18 who identify as transgender. Before Ryland could even speak, he managed to tell his parents that he is a boy.
I could just see that it wasn't him trying to be a brat. It was like painful. It was truly painful for him to have to wear feminine clothing and for us constantly telling him that you're a girl.
And unlike some trans kids, when Ryland came out at age 5 a few years later, he had the full support of his parents.
Amazing. That father should be ashamed of himself to let the mother encourage him to do that. The one thing I can guarantee you, even though that girl took off her female body part, I guess she done that, I don't know. Inwardly, she's miserable. She's not happy. Changing body parts will not make you happy. It will not bring peace. Getting rich will not bring peace. Black people believing that white people superior to them will not bring peace. Wherever you live will not bring peace. The only thing that's going to bring you peace from within is forgiveness, a return to the Father. That's the only thing that's going to do it. It's a spiritual battle. And that girl walking around pretending that she's a boy is not the answer. And I totally understand that. It's not the answer. And that weak beta male father sitting there letting the mother explain it like he's just so nice and so wonderful. Before she could speak, I knew she was a boy. How did you know her if she didn't tell you? And the father just let it happen. Men, it's abnormal to be inwardly weak, to not be of love. You represent God. You've just been turned away from your earthly father, so you turn away from God. Turn back. The world needs you. The love comes through the man. And they have presented this story on Fox like just such an amazing story. Oh, nobody care about that girl. You see, she is not at peace at all. Pretending that she's a boy. It's not gun violence, it's people violence. It's people violence. A boy is still a boy, a girl is a girl, no matter what you chop off and put on. You must return to the Father. You must overcome the ego. You must. You don't have to. You can suffer through life. It's up to you. You have a choice. You can stay in your darkness or you can return to the light. You have one choice. Return to the light. You're already in the darkness and you didn't make that choice. That was put upon you. You were born into that. But you could get tired of living in your mess and going through the ego death, the not you death. It's hard only because you think it's you. Really. You heard Noah this morning said that she thought about the past and she cried. She was in her head this morning and she realized, hey, I'm in my head. It's not me. It's not you, folks. You already have peace. You have never done anything wrong in your life. There's nothing to be guilty for. God is not holding anything against you. Not one iota of a thing. That's why he wants you to go and forgive. So you can come back home to the Father from within and have an amazing life right here on earth. An amazing life on earth. It's up to you. Anyone who has anger is walking dead. Your eyes are open, but you're barely breathing. And in our country today, a Judeo-Christian country, founded by Christian men, built the great white men. And we'll remind you of some of that on White History Month next month. Our 5th year celebrating White History Month. But a Christian country built on love. Love used to be so prevalent in America. When I was growing up, it was about love. It wasn't about hate. But the older people died out and hatred came about. And look what's going on in our country. It's an angry, angry, angry world today. And this is happening around the world. But it's unusual for America. I grew up not under the Jim Crow law. I grew up when the Jim Crow law existed. in Alabama. But there was love in the world. There was not hate. There was some haters, but it was love. At the time, the Democrats didn't want the blacks a part of it. That's what the Jim Crow thing was all about. No blacks allowed. And now they own the blacks. Like I said yesterday in church, the blacks stopped thinking for themselves. They became a group. And now they think like the group. Whatever the group say, they agree with it, not realize they're not free thinkers anymore, so they're not free. They're into their color. They're into blaming, begging, and whining, affirmative action, reparation. And the white people are too glad to give it to them, thinking that somehow or another they're going to think that, oh, well, the black people see I love them. I'm giving them my schools. I'm giving them everything they beg for. Because I'm white supremacy. I'm superior to them, and they know it. They can't get it for themselves, so they have to take my stuff. And they still don't love you. They still don't love you. They hate you even more so. They hate you even more so, white folks. You're not helping your situation at all. And everything is blamed on the white man. Everything. It's your fault. They blame you for everything. Isn't that something? They don't feel like going to work today. It's your fault. And then they call you superior to them. Amazing. A lot of anger in the world. And here's an example of it. This is from the Daily Mail. U.S. Marshals arrest 3 men, 19, 20, and 21, over death of boy 17 who was beaten to death in a car park of high school in Ohio. That doesn't sound right. In a car park at a high school in Ohio. You know, they wrote it bad. They messing me up. Mom already can't read. What the? Watch this soundbite.
It's been 9 days since Ethan Liming's death. Since then, even strangers are feeling the loss.
I'm just here watching my grandson play baseball, and I was so moved by the memorial.
The 17-year-old rising senior lost his life on June 2nd. Akron police say Ethan and his friends pulled up to the I Promise school that evening and shot toy water bead gel guns at a group on the basketball court. A fight ensued, and investigators say Ethan was brutally beaten to death.
I think the police described it rightly as just an unreasonable response to the whatever provocation there was.
Saturday morning, Akron police and the U.S. Marshal's Office captured the men they believed to be involved. 19-year-old Tyler Stafford, 20-year-old Deshaun Stafford, and 21-year-old Donovan Jones were all arrested on murder and felonious assault charges. The young men are in custody and awaiting court appearances. Investigators hope the arrests will lead to answers.
We already know the answer. Hate the white man. Where are the rallies for this young white male? 3 black males have been accused of killing him. 19, 20, and 21. He was only 17. Where are the rallies for this white man? Where's the cry of racism? Hate crime. It's so quiet. You can hear crickets because it was done to a white boy by black boys, accused black boy, allegedly by black boys. But they're not calling it a hate crime. They're not calling it a racist crime. Remember when the white boy shot, accused of shooting some black folks in Buffalo somewhere? Right away, everybody cried, racism. Racism. But whenever it happened to white boys and white girls, oh, no big deal. Just teenagers acting out. No news report about racism or hate crime or anything. the dead boy's father, Bill Lyman, said that his son was sucker punched during the fight and suggested his death emerged out of the racial animosity prevalent in today's culture. But you're not going to hear the media saying that because it was black boys been accused of doing it to a white boy. If it was the other way around, if only one white boy had done it to 3 black boys, it would be hell to pay. You would be giving up guns today. They would come to your house today and take your guns. Police have said that the death was not racially motivated and that the boys unfortunately provoked the allegations. Police, I have to repeat that. The police said that the death was not racially motivated and that the boys unfortunately provoked the altercation. Oh, they just provoked the altercation. It was black on white. It wasn't white on black, so it wasn't racial. I guarantee it. We all know it. I don't need to guarantee you. You already know it. If it was the other way around, that's all you'll hear today. They'll forget about the shooting in Texas. They'll forget about the shooting in Buffalo, and they'll use this one. But because this black guy's been accused of doing it to a white boy, no big deal. White people, you hate it. And I've been saying this for 22 years. White people hate it for no reason, 0 reason. There's never a reason to hate anyway, right? Never a reason to hate. But white people today are hated for no reason because there are people who want to turn America into a socialist society, and they're using this for their own personal gain. And because you're not an individual, you don't see how you're being used. You don't see how you're being used. Because you're afraid to be an individual, to think for yourself. That's not the American way. It's not the American way. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. If you doubt me, turn on the TV and just flip through the channels. Where are the white people? If they do have a white person on there, especially a white man, and sometimes white women, they're with a black man or a black woman. They don't use white men on TV anymore. Rarely. You'll see it a little bit, but not much. They wipe you out in your own country. And you won't speak up. You won't get involved. You won't vote them out. And they're giving your country over to people that are destroying. There are so many illegal aliens just walking into our country right now from everywhere. I saw a report on that this morning from everywhere. In Yuma, Arizona, I believe. They were coming from everywhere over the weekend. We're here. They're not even hiding anymore. Our country is being turned into a third world country. And the only way they can do it, they got to get rid of the white Christian male. And the rest is easy.